Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Wheel of Movies. This is episode number 7, and today we are talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. William Friedkin, who unfortunately passed away uh, about, probably about 2 weeks now,
It's still just
roughly,
been about a
something.
week or so. Yeah, it hasn't been
Yeah,
that
yeah,
long.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So pretty recently, and yeah, we're both big fans of his films, and so we're here today to talk about Sorcerer, which is a movie that Austin you introduced me to recently that I've
Mhm.
become a lot bigger fan of, and yeah, so I am your host Jordan, the movie hero Anderson. I am joined here by my co-host Austin Pez. How's it going?
Yeah, so another little audible for Wheel of Movies, but it counts because this movie is in my 128, so it's on the wheel
Yeah.
somewhere. So it'll probably even pop up in a tournament at some point because it's on there. And I appreciate this movie a lot. We'll get into it, but my dad introduced me to this movie about 10 years ago, and I've been a pretty big fan of it ever since. So yeah.
Yeah, and Brian always likes to bring up the joke. Is this the prequel to Sorcerer's Apprentice? That's his kind of little running
No, it's not.
gag. No.
Not quite. But if you don't know what it's about, we've got a little something special for you. So there's a guy
Yeah,
named his channel is DM Edit. I want to give him credit for it. He does some modern
yeah.
trailers on there, and he does some '70s movies. And he did a modern trailer for Sorcerer. So if you're not sure what it's
Oh, nice.
about,
Yeah,
maybe this will give you a little preview. We'll play it for you, and we'll be right back.
cool.
It's risky moving one of those cases 10 feet. That fire is over 200 miles away.
If it were up there, could you use it?
How the hell are you gonna get it
It's
up?
not your problem. We'll get it up there.
You got a problem. Tell me about it. You gonna tell me where I'm going? I swear to Christ, I don't know.
We now need experienced truck drivers. Men who are willing to do a dangerous job. The men who qualify, they will receive exceptional wages. Only experienced truck drivers willing to risk their life can do it.
We're gonna cross that bridge, and you're gonna guide me, because I can't do it alone.
There you
Yeah,
go.
you're gonna cross that bridge, and
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
guide
guide
me.
me because I can't do it alone. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
that's
awesome.
great. Yeah.
That's a good
And
line. Yeah.
every time during that sequence, we'll talk about it. Every time the wind starts blowing, I was watching it again, and my roommate came in. We were watching. We just go, whoa,
Yeah, right.
just like,
Yeah, that's intense stuff. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I was just gonna give a little some facts about the movie before we jump fully into it. So yeah, this is of course our William Friedkin kind of tribute of sorts, and William Friedkin, if you're not familiar, he directed movies like The Exorcist. He directed Cruising. He did a segment of the Twilight Zone movie. He did To Live and Die in L.A., The Guardian, Tales from the Crypt. He did the 12 Angry Men remake, The Hunted, Bug, and Killer Joe. And he also has one unfinished, one unreleased project that's already finished. That's called the Kane Mutiny Court Martial. I don't know what it is, but apparently it's already finished. So we may get one more thing.
And don't
William
don't forget the
Friedkin.
French Connection, also with Roy
Oh
Scheider.
yeah,
Yeah.
French Connection too. Yeah. Throw that one in there.
Which that was the one that really put him on the map because it got him a whole bunch of Oscar nominations right after it came out, and then Exorcist was also nominated for things. This one not, unfortunately, because it kind of came and went, and everybody forgot about it. Unfortunately, we'll talk about that, but yeah.
Well, actually was, so when I was looking up, it actually was nominated for one small little Oscars, nominated for Best Sound, so it did get that. So so it is Oscar nominated with that one little nod there, but and the movie was released on June 24th, 1977, as a runtime of almost exactly 2 hours. Technically, they say 2 hours and 1 minute, but it's basically 2 hours. And the movie was written by Waylon Green, who he went on to write movies like The Wild Bunch, Eraser. He did RoboCop 2, Dinosaur, War Games, and even wrote some of LA Confidential. So yeah, he was attached to that. And then now I saw some conflicting things. Like I saw that it made money. I saw that it didn't make money. I wasn't really sure, but after double checking it, like what I saw, the most places that seemed the most credible that it made $15 million on a $22 million budget, that it lost a little money. So
it basically made $9 million worldwide in its initial release, and only made a little bit of extra money when they did a 40th anniversary re-release, mostly in the UK. In 2014, after the restoration was done, basically when the Blu-ray came out. This movie, and it was more than $22 million. It's actually more like 40. This movie went way over budget. A lot of marketing costs. A lot of extra costs, and so it was a flop when it came out. And it came out a month after Star Wars. So Star Wars was decimating the box office at this time, where everybody was watching Star Wars just over and over again. It was a huge, massive success. And this movie came out. There were people who saw this movie because of the title, thought it was another kind of sci-fi or horror movie or something from William Friedkin, because obviously most people knew him from The Exorcist, which came out a few years earlier, and The Exorcist was a massive hit. That movie made a ton of money. That movie was a massive hit. And then a lot of people saw this and saw the initial couple of segments, as we'll talk about, and nobody was speaking English, and they thought it was just some foreign film, and they walked out. They didn't know what it was. So and it just didn't do very well. Obviously, it just got swamped by Star Wars, so just bad timing when it came out. And it didn't really find an audience for a very, very long time.
Yeah, but the people that actually stuck with it, though, they seem to like it, especially over as time has gone on, because if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 81% from the critics and an 84% from the audience. So, I mean, for me, like even on my first watch, I had to kind of get past the first maybe 40 minutes to where it really gets good to me. But there's some pretty interesting stuff, because you kind of get into why all these guys are kind of in this South American country together, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I was just gonna read over the a synopsis when you look up the movie on Google, just to kind of give you a little more context, because the movie's pretty visual. So I think a little context kind of helps. But it says, in the small South American town of Provenir, 4 men on the run from the law are offered $10,000 in legal citizenship if they will transport a shipment of dangerously unstable nitroglycerin to an oil well 200 miles away. Led by Jackie Scanlon, played by Roy Scheider, the men set off on a hazardous journey during which they must contend with dangerously rocky roads, unstable bridges, and attacks from local guerrillas. The 4 fight for their lives as they struggle to complete their dangerous quests. So that's basically it. And so one of my things is that before they get to, because when you watch the trailer, you see all the things about the like trucks going across the bridge, driving through the jungle, but there's a whole about 40-45 minutes before that kind of sets up these 4 guys that are kind of down in from what I gather, that it was Colombia. I don't know for sure, but I think it
They go down to Colombia.
That?
Yeah, it's a very small village in Colombia. Yeah, that they kind of end up in is kind of off the grid. It's a very poverty-stricken village, and the reason why they all get sent down there, based on their guys who kind of send them down there, is that it's just a place that nobody wants to touch. It's just it's nothing but garbage and poverty, and the people even that work for that oil field that most people work at in the movie, Jordan, the one that blows up, work for like less than minimum wage. They work for like nothing, like just poverty wages, and they have to drive their via trucks every day. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. So
right.
That's just like why nobody touches it. It's also a country that's just doesn't have much of a government. You see all those signs in the background where there's like kind of a revolution going on. So we see these guerrillas later, and it's a country that's kind of in turmoil right now. So it's a place that nobody wants to touch. That nobody wants to go down.
And I kind of gathered that it was from, or they were in Colombia because the scene where Roy Scheider has to show his passport and it says Colombia on it. So that's where I got that from.
His phony passport. Yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah, right. and so in the beginning you have these four guys. You got one from Mexico, one I think's from Israel. You got a guy from France, and then you got obviously Roy Scheider in the U.S. and it's like I'm a little like confused as to like what's going on. Like they're on the run or something, or like they have to flee, but they'll have their own set of circumstances. So it's like four different stories kind of coming together. Is that kind of
So it's just four different guys that are not really connected until they get there. So that's the whole thing. There's a lot of 70s movies, Jordan, and another movie I watched recently, Marathon Man, kind of does the same thing where you have almost like these vignettes. It's like also like for a few dollars more, the Western I really like with Clint Eastwood, how that movie opens with kind of a segment for each person and then they come together. That's kind of like what this one does, is every guy has like their own little segment of the movie to kind of show them the circumstances of how they got into some trouble. So you have the Mexican guy who is like, he like assassinates somebody and then he leaves and we don't see him again until we get down to the village. We get the guy from Jerusalem who is like he's like a terrorist. Like he literally does like a bus bombing, like blows up a building, and then he's on the run. His partner gets captured by the military, but he's able to get away right before they get there, and so he's on the run. And then you get the Paris, I just call him the Frenchman, so the Paris businessman who's in some. It's more like white collar trouble, His institution's he's about to get indicted for fraud for about $15 million in fraud for embezzlement, and his partner,
there's all his money.
His partner, who he tries to get his dad, who's like also rich, to kind of cover him for the money so he doesn't go to jail, shoots himself. So now he has no choice; he's got to flee the country before he goes to jail. So he's off, and then we get the other guy, get Roy Scheider, obviously we end with him, and they're like these competing mobs, and they're like robbing the other mobs, like little card game or whatever all their money is, and now he's in trouble with the other mobs, and now they're after him, and they want to kill him. And he ends up killing the main other guy. The guy he shoots in that sequence ends up being the other mob guy's brother, so it's like personal to him. So he's like, I want that guy dead. So so now he's got to get the hell out of the country, and that's why he gets in. He's like, I don't even know where you're going. Like even that part in the modern trailer we saw, like I don't even know where you're going. Like, you're just leaving. You're getting on the train. You're getting out of here.
See you later.
So they all end up in this little village, they're all working, whatever they can work at this oil field and stuff, and just making nothing. I mean, the one guy even says he's only been able to stash away like 100 pesos even after like a year of working.
Wow.
And they all want to get out, but the problem is, Jordan, is that getting out costs money, and none of them have any money. So they need about 1,000 pesos or dollars or whatever it is for the phony passport to get out, and then another 1,000 to get on the plane to get out. So they need about 2,000 a piece. And when you're making like maybe a peso a day or two, that's not exactly feasible. So and then they get this opportunity that we see in the thing to do a dangerous mission. So that's kind of
so like my other question is too, like so on this mission to transport this dynamite back across the jungle back to the oil fields, but somewhere like the oil field explodes, but then the dynamite's the only way to put it out or something like that.
Yeah,
Or,
so
like, I don't really know what.
it's the same thing,
what
and
that's
There Will
about.
Be Blood, which you haven't watched yet. The oil thing erupts, and you can't put it out with water. The only way you can actually put out oil wells is with an explosion, by literally exploding and like covering up essentially the leak with an explosion. So that's the only way is to put it out, is literally fighting fire with fire. That's where that term comes from. You got to fight the fire with fire. You cannot put it out with water, because it would just continue. It's a continuous stream of oil. It's just going to burn and burn and burn and burn and burn. So you got to put it out with an explosion. So, but the problem is, and that's the thing, is normally they would just, if it was just dry regular dynamite, they could just fly it over with a helicopter, drop it off, no problem. But the problem is this nitroglycerin, this dynamite that's in the shed that they find has not been properly turned. You have to properly turn the stuff and take care of it, and it's kind of like leaking the nitroglycerin, and it's very, very volatile, to where they say, like, if you shook the box, violently, it could set it off and just explode. Like any kind of minor spark or anything will just set it off. So that's the problem. And it's in the place is 200 miles away. So that creates a bit of a problem. And it's the only dynamite they can get a hold of. So that's the setup for this mission. They're offering to pay all these guys like about $10,000 a piece to do the job. But the problem is, they gotta drive it through this jungle about 200 miles to get to the oil field. And if they slip or bump around too much or whatever, it's going up. So well,
it reminds me a little bit of the TV show Lost. There's like a thing where they have to transport dynamite across the jungle, and they find like this weird old ship that's like way landlocked, way up in the, because like Lost got some weird stuff going on there. So they got a ship in the middle of this island, and they are bringing up the sticks of dynamite, and have to try to wrap it and move it carefully. And then one of the guys isn't as careful, and it explodes on him. And then the guy's name's Arnst. There's like a line where he's like, "Hey, you got some Arnst on you," because some of his flesh literally like lands on the guy's shoulder. So but
I wouldn't be surprised if the filmmakers were inspired by Sorcerer, honestly. So it's like a little nod to that about like volatile dynamite, because that's what this situation is. So when they actually do the truck, and you'll see in the back, they have to like pack it in sand, like they have a big bed of sand that they have to like pack it in to minimize any kind of shaking or any kind of movements that it's going to do while they're driving. So, and they're always like, got to be careful of what they're doing, where they go.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about this movie that's very visual. Like, I think that I was reading someone that the director wanted to use as much visual cues as he possibly could, and have little dialogue in it, which is like really, really cool. And like some of the images are like awesome. Like when they're gearing up all the trucks, and they're like spray painting them, because
we gotta have a montage, Jordan, to get ready for the mission. They have a truck gearing up montage. We got to fix up the trucks and tune them up and make sure they're in good working order. They got to get the trucks ready to go. Make sure they don't
you see him pounding on the engine and like doing all that stuff. But and the actors too. I mean, we just go. I just wanted to shout out some of the cast. I mean, obviously you have Roy Scheider, but one of the guys, his name's Chico Martinez. I think he probably plays the guy from Mexico. You have Bruno Kremer, who's the French guy, and then the one from Israel, his name's Francisco Rabal, I think. But
actually, really, he's got one name. The guy named Amadou, I think his name is, plays the Israel guy. He's just got a singular name. That's who he plays. And the Francisco guy is the other Mexico assassin guy. And then and then Bruno Kremer, he's got one of those weird like single names. He's like Seal. But Bruno Kremer is the French guy, and he's primarily a French actor. So he mostly, if you look him up, it's like nothing but French movies. He's like a famous French actor, and so it makes sense that he's mostly speaking French in this thing, other than a couple of little scenes with Roy Scheider here and there, like at the bar and stuff.
And like probably like surprisingly like even though like Roy Scheider's the biggest known name, I kind of connected more with the French guy's story, just because he has the whole kind of thing with his wife, and he's like seen her for the last time, and then he gives him the watch, and it has like an inscription on the back, and stuff. So it's like kind of like he knows he has to leave, and he also has to leave his wife there too. So
Yeah.
just kind of.
And he just has to
Kinda
leave her like
sad.
out of nowhere. He doesn't even tell her where he's going. He's just like he just like, sees like the maitre d, and he's just like, tell her I had to leave for business, and then he just never comes back. And he's
Yeah,
gone.
right.
Because he's only got a day before they're going to arrest him, so he has to get out of the country like immediately. He can't even like do anything. So, he flees and leaves her. So yeah, it's a rough situation. He's again, none of these guys, and that's another thing about 70s movies are like savory great guys, like no heroes. You know what I mean? They're all like
Right,
kind of
yeah.
scummy dudes. Even the Frenchman, he's a scummy businessman who's a fraud and he's an embezzler. And that's what I kind of like about 70s movies is a lot of these movies that weren't afraid to have characters that they're not necessarily great people or they're kind of morally gray, but you could at least understand the predicament that they're in, and what they have to do. That's a good thing I like about 70s. And they don't always have the happiest of endings. Sometimes they got a dour ending, or they're very realistic, where it's like not everybody gets out scot-free on some of these things, as we'll talk about when we get to the end.
Yeah, right. And like one of the other things that I'm reading too, like as far as like not having a lot of dialogue to go along, it says he wanted to shoot the entire film with without any sentiment or melodrama, meaning that he wanted it to be completely devoid of any heartfelt moments, because he kind of wanted the main actors to be like sort of anti-heroes. So you're rooting for them, but they're kind of hard to root for because you see they have a shady past. You see that they're kind of on the run, but there's not really any big heartfelt moments. But the actors are just portray the character so well that it kind of creates heartfelt moments. You can see it in their eyes, you see it in the actions that they take, and like all the different things that happen to them along their journey. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's you're still, you're with them in the journey, that you want to see them, complete the mission. But yeah, once they get free of it, you don't know what they're going to go off and do essentially. And yeah, like I said, they all have their own segment where they're doing something very shady or, not very kosher. So, but yeah, they create those nice moments here and there, even when Roy Scheider and the Mexican guy are kind of after he gets shot, and they're kind of like, hey, no, you're gonna go to Managua and you're gonna get 2 girls. Yeah, what are you?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's like, stay with me. Come on. What are you gonna do when you get there? 2 girls.
You do with that money. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna do with it? Like there's little things they try to connect a little bit. There's obviously high tension once they get into the jungle sequence, but I kind of timed it. Or I was looking at the time card this time, Jordan, when I was watching it. So all the segments, the vignettes, if you will, kind of end about the 25-minute mark, and then they get down to Colombia, and then they kind of call for the montages with the trucks and the training. All that starts about the 45-minute mark, and they're kind of in the jungle about the hour mark. So yeah, it takes about an hour to get in the jungle, to get things going, the main mission going. But it's not like there's nothing happening. It's just like there's a lot of setup to get it going. So you just have to be a little patient to get there.
Yeah, and you kind of see them like they have to work together because they're like in this big group, and they just pick certain guys who they think are like the best for this job, and so they get picked, and they don't really have a choice. So they're just kind of off, and they're gonna know that they're gonna have each other's lives in their hands. They got to be kind of like, these are the guys that they have to rely on, so they just have to work together. So
well, and there's 2 trucks. We should say 2 teams of 2. So it's Roy Scheider, the Mexican guy, and then I just like to call him Frenchman and Jerusalem. So I call him, or in the other truck. And one of the trucks is called Sorcerer, where that's where the movie gets its name from. They painted on the side there. It's the one that looks like it has the teeth or whatever is Sorcerer. But yeah, it's and Roy Scheider says the whole thing to the oil guy that hires them. He's just like, oh, 2 trucks, huh? So you're definitely not betting on one of us making it, It's like, yeah, pretty much. We're not expecting either one of you to make it, but and that's when he's like, no, instead of 10, I want 20, and I want like a passport, and I want like all this other extra stuff or whatever. And then again, a bit of a spoiler alert as we're kind of talking about the movie, but one of the trucks doesn't make it. and we'll get there. But yeah, they all kind of get the setup, and they're all pretty good at their driving. But yeah, once they get going, man, it gets really, really tense really fast. And I think that's where the movie just kicks into high gear from there on out. I'm locked in every moment when they're just driving on these like there's some sequences where it's just these really narrow roads, and like the dirt's kind of falling out from under them on the sides and like that sort of thing. And they're almost slipping a little bit. And there's even the one, not the main bridge sequence, but the other one, even with like the very rickety like turn they have to make, the really tight turn on those pieces of wood, just around that corner. It's like even that is really tense when some of them start breaking and like broken in half, and one of the wheels falls through at one point, and he's got to like try to like put it in like 6-wheel drive and try to get out of there. Like it's really tense.
Yeah, and I've watched some YouTube videos of like some of these roads down in South America. They have some crazy roads, and the way that they drive, we're not used to the way some of these people drive here in the United States, because like even in like cities and stuff, like when the light turns green, everybody just goes. You don't wait for the other cars, you just go. And then like even on these mountain roads, people like drive kind of fast. Like one of my good friend, he served a mission for our church down in Honduras, and like he said he was on some mountain roads on a bus where like they were right on the edge of this cliff, and he was like afraid for his life. He's like, holy crap, am I gonna die? Am I gonna like make it through this? And so like he has stories about that. But yeah, and then there's this one that's you can look it up. It's called the North Youngest Road, but it's also known as the Death Road. So it's this road in Bolivia. That's the only way to get supplies from one side of the mountain to the other. It's a 43-mile switchback that like just has like so many like the same things from the movie, where like you see them right on the edge, you see the dirt kind of crumbling. There's parts where it gets really foggy, and like and there's like some really like sheer cliff drops, and like some really like some of that like loose kind of rocks and all that stuff everywhere. So that's pretty much what we're seeing as they're like driving through the mountain. But it's even worse because I got freaking dynamite in the back. So
no, you can't even like bump off or sometimes maybe if the truck tips over, maybe there's a way you can winch it back over, but you can't even tip over. You tip over and you're done, you're dead. So yeah, they can't even do that. And like I said, the movie kind of kicks into gear once they get to that jungle. They're driving these roads, like those crazy switchback roads and stuff, and the really narrow stuff, and it kind of gets to this big sequence, which is kind of the big centerpiece of the movie. You get this like kind of jungle bridge, looks like something out of there's a very, one of the reasons I also like the Phantom, the opening sequence of the Phantom has a sequence very similar to this. That's definitely a tribute to Sorcerer. It's this literally like rope and wood bridge going across this river, and they first get out and look at it, and they're like, there's no way in hell we're getting this big ass truck across this bridge. Like, it's not happening. I mean, this thing looks like it wouldn't even barely hold people on bicycles. You know what I mean? Or even a small car, like much less this giant, like 8-wheel truck or whatever. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're just like, how the hell are we going to do this? And he's just like, well, and it's like, it's raining and it's storming.
Pouring rain, yeah.
And the wind's blowing and the river's like gushing underneath them. And yeah, they have to make this way. And it's two of them that have to get across. So it's crazy. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
We can kind of see like when they approach the bridge, they're like going down this big muddy hill, and they're like sliding. They're hitting the brakes. They're probably hitting the brakes as hard as they possibly can. And they're just sliding, because you hear stories about those mudslides down in like South America and in the rainforest area, where like people's whole houses will just like slide down a mountainside and stuff. And so they're like trying to stop, and then they get there. He's like we're on the wrong road. We took the wrong road, which I don't know like if they are for sure, or if he just kind of like thinks it's wrong because they hit this bridge and they're like, we shouldn't be like we hit something this tough, like what the hell is going on? And so they have to try to cross it. And like even the bridge, when you look at it, already looks kind of broken too. Like it's just
it's half broken. There's like pieces of wood that have just been thrown on there. Like they're not even like tied to the bridge. They're just like sitting on the bridge. Like it's this haphazard little nothing bridge. Like half the ropes in the middle are just like already broken and like falling off. And they're just like, there's no way like this thing will work. And basically what it is the one guy's got to drive it, and the other guy's got to basically walk in front of the thing to try to guide him, on this thing where he drives as much on it. And it's legitimately like, no matter what you think of the rest of the movie, Jordan, like this sequence is nuts. It's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
It is absolutely one of the best, I will argue, one of the best pieces of practical effects, like modern like tense sequences I think in history. Like this thing is awesome. Like to where you're watching this thing and you're like, how the hell do they film this? Because it's all real.
Right.
There's real water, this bridge, this river, like this truck, and like it's like going back and forth. And so what they actually did, just a little insight, was it is a manufactured bridge that they built for the sequence, but they had to move it 3 times because as they were building it and starting to shoot sequences, the river dried up a couple of times in the dry seasons. So there was no river underneath it for them to it was just dry, and you can't do that. So they had to move it to Mexico, and they tried to do it again, and then it dried up again, and they went somewhere else to do another one. So, and then the actual bridge they built had these like these hydraulics and stuff that would actually tilt it like back and forth to actually give that tilting thing that you see when they're kind of blowing like back and forth, it almost falls off. And the truck legitimately fell off the bridge, off the side 5 times while they were filming it. And it took them 3 months to do it. So 3 months to film this entire sequence starting to finish. And it's a 12-minute sequence with the 2 trucks back to back. And it's an insane amount of stuff. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And yeah, people got hurt.
It cost $1 million to build it, which is nuts.
Yeah, and then another $2 million because it went. It took longer than they thought to do it. So it took about $3 million just to do a whole sequence. Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, reading here, the crew, they had to put a 24-hour guard around the bridge because there were some locals that were superstitious and they thought the bridge was for intruders that were trying to cross over and get into their country or something like that, and so people were like coming in trying to destroy the bridge, so they had to have little like guards around. It's crazy. So
maybe they didn't know what shooting.
Yeah, it's a crazy sequence, and like yeah, right. Yeah, because you don't. I just have 1 truck that has to pass over. 2 trucks because halfway through, when the other one's almost across, here comes the other truck sliding down, because I think that they kind of wanted to space out the way that we're driving in case one blew up.
Oh yeah, you don't want to follow right behind the other one because any kind of vibration from that explosion is going to blow up the other one. So yeah, I think they tried to keep a distance of a mile or 2 between each of the trucks as they were driving. Just in case one of them blows up, you don't want the other one to blow up immediately just because it's right there. In the second one, Roy Scheider and the Mexican guy, like the Mexican dude's driving, he almost the Frenchman guy comes in second, like they come in on the second run, and then that other dude, the Israel guy, almost gets run over because he slips through the bridge, falls into the water.
Yeah, he's trying to
crawl out. He's like, no, stop, no, don't run me over.
Screaming at him,
And he finally gets up and he's falling all over the place. And then a piece of debris, like a tree,
the tree comes
into the bridge, and starts cutting him up, and he's trying to get it out, and then they have to get the winch on the front and lock it onto a tree stump at the top of the bridge and try to winch it up the rest of the way.
Winch.
And then,
the winch.
And then the bridge kind of gives away right as he gets across it. So they get it's nuts. And it's all practical, and I just think it's an awe-inspiring sequence that you just don't see stuff like this anymore, with this kind of commitment to it,
Oh yeah, for sure. And they finally get a little breather for a little bit. They're driving for a little while, but then they come to another thing. They got that big tree across the road, and just the look on Roy Scheider's face when they come up to it, because you don't see it at first, they don't show it. You just kind of see him stop and look. And then he gets out, and then he walks up to the tree, and he's pissed. He's hitting his machine, oh, damn it, what are we gonna do? He's already pissed off when he's had to do, and now he has to deal with this, and it seems impossible, really, but because that tree is huge. It's not just a little tree; it is one of the tallest trees in the whole entire forest.
It's a giant, thick tree. It's 10 feet across. It's a ginormous tree. Yeah, that's completely blocking him. So he's so Roy Scheider's just in disbelief. The other guy just starts laughing because he's just what are you gonna do? That sucks. And it's and Roy Scheider's oh, well, if we just chop down these 12 smaller trees over here, the other thing, go around. He's wait, but you're waist high in water. You can't drive through a swamp. That's impossible. You can't do that. And so there's literally no way around it. And it would take them, I mean, it would take them a year to chop that thing with a machete. Like, there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
way.
There's
And
no way.
they don't have chainsaws. They don't have they don't even have axes. All they got these jungle machetes. That's all they got. And but they come up with a solution. But there's a problem. You got to be real careful with it. But what do they have in the back, Jordan? They got a bunch of dynamite.
Got some dynamite. But like when the Israeli guy comes up, he's like, I think I can clear it. I'm thinking, you can clear it. Like, I'm thinking, what? Like, how are you going to clear this thing? There's no way. And I forgot. Oh yeah, they got dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah, but he has to rig up a thing because it's so loose and stuff. You don't have a. With regular dynamite, you usually have the string, that you light,
Oh yeah.
thing. So, and they don't have that. They got to find a way to ignite it, from a distance, obviously. So he rigs up a little thing to where he's got like a sandbag, and he cuts like a hole in the sandbag, so it's like a timer, a little bit. So when the sandbag gets empty, it'll drop this rock and spark the dynamite and blow it up. So literally, as soon as he cuts the thing, you see him just like running for his life, like through the jungle, like I can get the hell
running,
get out of there. So, and then there's a massive explosion. They clear the bridge, and they're able to get through at that point. But it's a cool little solution to a pretty big problem. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because I had no idea how they're gonna do it. Like, I didn't even think about that. So I'm like, man, these guys are screwed. Like, oh man. but
hey, when in doubt, blow it up. Just like an anaconda when they blow up the bridge and go through it. They got dynamite on the thing.
Yeah. But then they get back into some of those kind of mountain kind of switchbacks, I think, after that. So they're kind of driving up there, and that's when spoiler alert, but that's when the Frenchman and the Israeli guy, they're driving, their tire blows out, and
no, their tire doesn't blow out. It doesn't blow out. They get shot. Both of the tires get shot.
Oh, they get shot. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. Because those guerrilla guys that are jacking all the trucks because they think they're supply trucks because they're stealing supplies, they shoot their tire so that the tire goes out. But the problem is they're right on the edge of one of those things. They shoot the tire goes out, it tilts a little bit, and what happens? Well, it tilts and boom.
Boom, it just explodes. And
explosion, yeah.
They kind of catch me a little bit off guard because he kind of like telling the guy next to him, the Frenchman, is like telling him about his wife and about the watch and about all that stuff, and right in the middle, like it's like sentence, basically, it just blows up, and I'm like, whoa, that caught me off guard. It is off guard. Yeah, Roy Scheider, and then they see it from like a distance because they've got the distance between them. See the thing go up. Yeah,
they know
see the smoke.
I mean, they don't know exactly what happened, but they obviously the truck exploded. There's the dynamite in the back, so they're gone, and they pass by it later, and there's all the debris and everything everywhere. And around the same point, their tire gets shot by the same guys, and but they don't fall off. They just kind of stop, and there's these like the guerrillas because they're in this middle of this sort of country that's in turmoil, and they think it's a supply truck, so we're gonna jack you all your supplies, and they don't know what's in there, and that's what he even kind of hints at because he knows the Mexican guy has a gun, so he's trying to stall a little bit, and he's like. We got tissues and oatmeal and whatever in the back of the truck.
Food in the back,
and they see the things and they freak out, but they're able to kind of overpower the guys. But the Mexican dude gets shot in the meantime, and they're driving off, and he dies along the way, and it's just Roy Scheider all by himself with the Tangerine Dream score playing, trying to make it to the objective.
Yeah, which is really haunting because so he like gets to the mountain and like where he's driving looks like he's on the moon or something. It looks like really wild. Like
so they filmed that part in New Mexico and those like it's like those canyons and stuff with like it looks like almost like Indian Pueblo kind of things or something along the sides, but it was filmed in New Mexico, so it's in that kind of desert looking thing. But at night the way it's lit and it's really beautiful looking. Like his whole music,
the way it's lit is cool,
beautiful. Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of hallucinatory. You got like the Tangerine Dream thing playing. He's kind of losing it at this point, because he's been through so much, and the other guy's dead, and then his truck about 2 miles from the objective breaks down. So his truck breaks down. It's like one other.
Well, he stops because his like partner guy, he gets shot, so he's dead in the back, but he's trying to get him to hold on. As we were talking about kind of earlier, where he's like, what was I saying? How many whores are you gonna get, or like how many whatever, like let me know, or like whatever, like stay with me. But then he dies because of his gunshot wound, and then he just finds a a place to just put the body, and then that's when he goes back to start his truck and it won't start up, and like something comes off of it. He like pulls something, like something like breaks or like a little like cord or something. Like yep, that's done.
Yeah, no, it's done. And so he ends up grabbing one of the cases of dynamite, and he's got to walk it to the finish. And but he's got to be careful. I mean, if he trips and falls down, he's gonna blow up. Go boom.
Yeah, right.
With the dynamite, so it's not any safer with him just walking. He's got like 2 miles to go because he has a odometer on the thing, so he knows how far he's gone. But he walks it all the way to the thing, and he was almost damn near walks into the fire. Like he's just so delirious. He just keeps walking and walking and walking. They have to like stop him. Like give me that shit, like give me the damn dynamite. And they grab it, and but he makes it all the way there, and they're able to put out the fire. Yeah.
That like the rest of the movie when it's just Roy Scheider, like there's some really cool visuals there. So like when he's like driving through like the place where it looks like he's on the moon or whatever, and then like I see some like kind of shadows of the truck. You see some really cool shots there, and then when he's walking, there's like really cool music with like the Tangerine Dream stuff, and you see him kind of like walking into the like oil field, like the village area, and the guy just kind of come and mobbing and like take the dynamite away, and you see him like walk almost into the fire. He just collapses because he's just so tired of this crazy journey that he went on. He just like I don't know, like just wants to like
he's probably been awake for like 3 days.
Keel over. Yeah.
It took him a while to get up. So, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if they gave him like drugs or something just to stay awake. You know what I mean? Because, they have to be alert the entire time. But, yeah, he just collapses from exhaustion. And he eventually makes it back to the kind of village where he came from, and the guy, and he ends up getting kind of like the other guy's shares essentially. So he ends up getting like 40,000, plus all of his paperwork and everything. And he's trying to tell him, go to Nicaragua. Yeah, the same place he was talking about. Go to Managua. It's hopping there. You can make there. Whatever. But the problem is, then one of the final shots of the movies, we pull back from the bar he's in, and a cab pulls up, and one of the hitmen,
the mob guys, right?
The other mob guys gets out of the cab, and we don't see what happens. We don't see what happens, but they found him, and they walk into the bar, and that's where we cut the credits.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little ambiguous as to, do they get him? Does he get away? Like we don't know.
Right.
But the idea is that the theme is that fate catches up to you eventually. So, if the trucks didn't get him, it might be something else. Like fate, like none of these guys get out for their crimes like unscathed. Like something's gonna happen, essentially.
Yeah, and like part of me like would have liked to see like, oh, what if they would have done a sequel and like you get to see what happened to his character. But at the same time, part of me is just kind of like, no, that I kind of like that. It's almost like a satisfying ending because you just kind of leave it up to like your imagination. They go in there and like you can kind of imagine what happened after that. They probably grabbed him and tried to kill him, or they took him with them, something like that.
Yeah, or maybe he had already slipped out the back door. We don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he got out.
Yeah, right.
You never know.
Yeah,
maybe
you
he's
don't know.
Maybe still on the run. Who knows? Maybe he gets away.
Well, I kind of thought maybe they like caught him dancing because he walks up to that girl that's like a native girl there, and he's like, may I have this dance? And they're dancing. So they has one little sweet moment kind of there with the girl there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one last sweet moment before he potentially gets shot in a bar. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, it's a little bit ambiguous, but it kind of up to your imagination as to what happens from there. But yeah, it's still a really, really cool movie. Like I said, it's a bit of a slow burn to start with, but just because they try to set up each of these guys' predicaments, as to why they're there. Yeah, the movie could be shorter, could just start with all those guys, but instead of getting long exposition about why are you here, why are you here, why are you here, or flashbacks, like we just see why they're here. Like we just see each of their little their crimes and all that kind of stuff and see what's going on. So again, I appreciate that as a 70s guy. I've been on a big 70s kick the last couple of years. A lot of 70s movies are like that, where they take a little while to kind of, I like to call it setting up the puzzle pieces, like the puzzle piece here and a puzzle piece there, and but then like when the puzzle comes together, usually these movies have a really cool climax, like they go really cool places, like they're a lot of fun once they get going. So I certainly appreciate that, and it's definitely worth the journey if you can stick with it, because I think all the stuff once they get going with the mission and the trucks and everything is some of the most just exciting, like I said, practical filmmaking you'll ever see. It's really, really good, and it's really cool. Yeah,
which I mean, like I do like the title of the movie Sorcerer, but like anything to do with the movie, so it's like kind of like Like maybe they could have had like maybe would have made a little more money even if they would have had a title that maybe had something to do with what the movie's about. People actually know, oh, this is what it is, or something. I don't know. I can
I couldn't find any alternate titles other than the working title where they're working on the movie was Ball Breaker, but that's not much better.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't give you a lot of information either. But I figure, maybe a title about the jungle or something, or some kind of explosive title, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to make it a little more, because like I said, this came out over time of Star Wars, and him coming off The Exorcist, you're like, oh, Sorcerer, is he making some kind of wizardry movie or something?
Right, yeah.
What's he making? Is he making like a sci-fi movie? Is he making like a space movie? Some horror thing where like some demon? Like what's he making now? And people like didn't know what this movie was. And there was trailers back then, but it wasn't like now, Jordan, where we can watch the trailer on YouTube or go to the IMDb page or whatever. No. It was just like if you saw a trailer in a theater maybe 2 or 3 months beforehand, maybe.
Yeah.
And that or maybe heard a radio spot or saw a quick little
something
TV
like
spot or something. But apparently also Universal had did not give this movie much of a marketing budget, so they barely marketed the movie too. So it kind of just got released and died a slow death. It just didn't have a chance. And coming out when Star Wars is literally just a phenomenon, like right in the middle of Star Wars mania, Star Wars fever, and everybody's seeing it, and it's becoming like the biggest hit of all time. And everybody's watching it over and over, to where even the Man's Chinese Theater, where Star Wars premiered, was showing the movie, and they didn't even want to switch it to Sorcerer because Star Wars was still doing monster business every night. There were still sold out shows every single night. Like every show was sold out, lines around the block, and they wanted to keep it for longer. Obviously, you're making tons of money with sold out shows. Like you don't want to put another movie in there when you're killing it right now. It's like how theaters right now we're having to adjust some of their stuff because Barbenheimer is doing so well and eating up the box office. They some of their releases, So I understand it, but people also kind of attribute this movie to where how much it died to kind of one of the ends of the eras of the experimental 70s film, because Friedkin was a big part of that. I mean, both Exorcist and French Connection were very kind of new, fresh movies at the time, and two cornerstones as far as French Connection is still lauded as one of the great examples of a crime film, a police story, and Exorcist is still obviously, whether you love it or not, is still regarded as one of the most important horror films ever made, and a huge, very respectable horror movie that literally started the Exorcist genre, the possession genre, which is still going to this day. We just saw the Pope's Exorcist a few months ago with Russell Crowe. So
when you talk about the movies that changed cinema, The Exorcist has got to be in the conversation. So
it was in the conversation. It didn't make our list on Rankum, but it was close. I had it on a list. I could have made an argument for it, for sure.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of stuff in the early 70s that was very experimental. These kind of new wave movies, Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick, Francis Ford Coppola, all these guys doing kind of new ideas. But I think audiences were ready to move on, go backwards, because Hollywood goes in stages, Jordan. We go to like cool experimental stuff, new movies, to like we want more mainstream stuff, and then once we got Star Wars, it was like we were back to big blockbusters and big budget, science fiction and action and all that kind of stuff. And we entered the 80s, which Tarantino says the 80s was the worst decade for movies. I disagree. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, same here.
Really? But just because he thinks everything was just put out really quick, there wasn't really anything that like broke ground. It was very like he thinks a lot of things were kind of generic. He just says the 70s were a place where people were still taking chances and doing new things. And we got back to that in the 90s. His argument is that the 80s were like, there's a lot of schlocky action.
Maybe current cinema is more like that. Because like nowadays, like the big blockbusters aren't as popular, aren't as successful, but a lot of indie stuff is really successful.
We might be going back to that, and we've been talking about all these movies that have, and we talked a little bit about Battle Casual the other night. Same thing about all these movies with these big giant bloated $200-300 million budgets that are failing, but yet movies like just example like a Talk to Me that costs $3-4 million is making $40-50 million. A24, Everything Everywhere All at Once cost like
Yeah.
$10 million or whatever, and is and became an underground success. Proves that you can make a successful, great movie without all these big budgets. And yeah, I think we're going to see another turn back the other direction now with what's happening in these big giant movies that are sinking. At the box office.
Right. Well, I mean, one reason why I like doing shows like this is that we get to bring attention to some movies like this, and maybe not everyone has even heard of. Because I mean, when you think of William Friedkin, I mean, The Exorcist, The French Connection, those movies, but like Sorcerer, like maybe not a lot of people have ever heard it, because the first time that I'd ever heard of it is when we had Mark Edward Hoyk on an episode, and he brought it up, and then you just kind of chimed in like, "Oh yeah, Sorcerer, that's a great."
And then I went and pulled my Blu-ray. I was like, "I swear, I like Sorcerer."
Yeah.
Mark, it's right here.
Right.
I love this movie. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I was like, "What's this?" Because like, even though like I'm kind of known to be like I like Jaws. I mean, I'm not like in love with it like a lot of the community is, but I think Roy Scheider's great in it. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's Roy Scheider from Jaws. Like, I'll check this movie out." And then, yeah, like it was fantastic. It was really good. So.
Well, and as I dug into more stuff, just speaking of Roy Scheider is one of those guys who's quickly becoming like, if we redid, I don't even remember if I had him on there or not, but if we did like our favorite actors, like tournament fights that we did, dude, Roy Scheider's on there now, 100%. Like, because especially for his, to me, and I'm still filling in a couple of gaps, but like I've seen most of his stuff. If it's Roy Scheider in the 70s, Jordan, it's a great movie. It's worth your time. It's awesome. Like, he just made nothing but bangers in the 70s, because he's in The French Connection. He's in Clute, The Assassination. He's got the 7 Ups, which is a cool movie that Mark Edward Hoyk turned me on to, another kind of cop action movie. You obviously have Jaws. You have Marathon Man, which is great. Sorcerer. Jaws 2, which is okay. But even All That Jazz, which is like All That Jazz, which is kind of like a anti-musical, like that movie's great too. I even like that movie. But yeah, Roy Scheider in the 70s, man, he put out some great stuff, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite go-to guys. Like, he's great. I
didn't realize he was
awesome
doing in some of those movies, what was it that Marathon Man. So I didn't realize he was in that, because I had to pull a clip for the Seen and Heard trivia. Like, oh, that's Roy Scheider. I'll put that clip in. That's cool.
Yeah. No, he's Dustin Hoffman's brother in that one. And yeah, there's a thing where it's a bit of a spoiler, but like he dies like halfway through the movie. And but his death is like the thing that kicks off kind of the main plot. Again, it takes a while to kind of get the main plot going, but his death is the thing that triggers what happens to Dustin Hoffman for the rest of the movie and the villain. So but he's still a critical part of the movie. But yeah, like he's in that one as well. And yeah, you even Seen and Heard. You even had a thing we saw in the modern trailer. You had that car crash here in Sorcerer as part of the
Yep, exactly. Yep.
The car crash at the beginning.
Because I want to see if people could actually recognize it, because it's not the part of where they're going through the jungle. It's like like some of the earlier stuff. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
but and Sorcerer, like so this was the second time that I watched it, and the first time that I watched it, like when I get super busy, I have to just watch things on the go. I just have it on my phone. I'm just kind of doing work or doing other things. And I do a lot of multitasking. But for this time around, I kind of started to do that. But then, like at the beginning, like there's so many subtitles, because I had it on my TV, but I was just like, well, I'm going to do some stuff while I'm watching this. I'm kind of on my phone. I can get some work for the YouTube channel done on my phone, and I was like, no, like I need to like pay attention. I want to read all the subtitles. And then like I just realized like this movie's like so visual. Like I'm just gonna put my phone away. I'm just gonna watch this whole thing. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna make sure that I don't miss anything. It makes the movie so much better, because I really enjoyed it that much better the second time that I watched it. Like it was way better the second time.
Yeah. So it's not a movie that's like as widely available as you would think. It's starting to get that way. There is the Blu-ray that I have. The Blu-ray is, I don't think this particular Blu-ray is as available. I think this one's out of print. The one I have is this fold-out one that has this booklet inside of it. It has all these cool little
that's cool.
Little excerpts and like behind the scenes pictures and all that kind of stuff. But they have like a standard Blu-ray that comes in like a Blu-ray case. Like that is available. You can find that. And I think you can rent it. It's available on Vudu and Prime. You can rent the movie or buy it. So it is available. It's just not free for streaming anywhere. But you can find it on streaming services. And for sure. I just think this movie is well worth your time if you can appreciate an older movie. If you like movies movies with practical stuff in it, with no CGI, with no BS, just like a down and gritty like story of survival, and obsession and all this kind of stuff. Like I think you really, really enjoy it. Like I do think this movie's relentless and there's tons of tension, and I go back to it a lot, man. I just love this movie. This is definitely my favorite Friedkin movie. Like I like a lot of his other movies, but this is my favorite one of his for sure.
Yeah, and if I were to rate it, I would like to rate it out of 10. So probably I'd give it an 8 out of 10, only because it just takes a bit to get into. You got to get through all the stories and get to where they're actually in the jungle and they go on the journey. But like I said, on a second rewatch, I really wanted to pay attention to the stories and how they connect to everything and all that stuff. So yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. And it might be my favorite Friedkin movie also. It's been a long time since I've seen The Exorcist. I haven't ever seen The French Connection, so I need to watch that sometime. That's a blind spot. But I've seen The Sorcerer twice, but I mean The Exorcist, sorry, twice. And so I may need to give that a rewatch. But it's pretty neck and neck between Sorcerer and The Exorcist. Probably The Sorcerer will eventually edge it out, because it just seems like more my style, especially when they get to all the cool visuals in the jungle and all that. So
yeah, for me, obviously this one's on my top. It's a 10. I think this movie's a banger. It's awesome. One of my favorite movies. I dig it. This is one I recommend to people a lot. But as far as some of Friedkin's other movies, The French Connection is great. I need to rewatch it. It's been about 9 or 10 years. I got to see it in a theater for my first watch. Nice. Jordan, Cinemark was doing their repertory screenings. They did an anniversary one, so I saw it in a theater. That was great. But yeah, there's some good stuff in there. The car chase, that's pretty famous. There's a little cat and mouse game on a subway that's really great. Friedkin's really good at that kind of stuff. The Exorcist I just rewatched yesterday, because you can go on our channel and see myself and Jacob Barber on a podcast about movies, and our 4-pack of movies we just did yesterday. One of them was The Exorcist. So we talked about Friedkin as well. So I rewatched it yesterday. It's a movie I kind of respect and I enjoy more than I love, as one of my favorite horror movies. It's not one of my favorite horror movies. I appreciate the filmmaking. There's some amazing performances in it, all around. It's just not a horror movie. It's not one of my go-tos that I watch a lot, kind of with The Thing or The Blob or, Return of the Living Dead or what, these movies that I really, really enjoy. But I do like it a lot. And today, I told you I was going on a little Friedkin binge. So I did watch a couple of things today so far. So I watched Cruising with Al Pacino, which is not a Jordon movie. You will not like it.
Sounds not like one.
I was almost finished with The Hunted from 2003 with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones. This is a pretty cool movie. You might dig this one.
I've heard that one's good. Yeah,
this one's good. My favorite of the three that I finally got around to, that I just got in the mail 2 weeks ago, brand new 4K, To Live and Die in LA, which is a blind spot I've been wanting to get to, but it's very unavailable. It's kind of hard to find.
That one's good too. Yeah,
this movie is awesome, Jordan. This is a Jordan movie.
Yeah,
this is a great movie. And I think this movie
Who's in it? Is there anyone big? Big name?
Oh yeah, so it's William Peterson, the guy from CSI, who was on CSI for forever, but he's been in some movies. He was in the original Manhunter, the original Hannibal Lecter movie. But you would recognize him. He was literally the main guy on CSI for 13 years. Beard. You'd recognize him. His a beard in here.
I think I have a picture of him in my mind. Yeah.
And then Willem Dafoe is the villain, so it's like an 80s.
Okay.
Dafoe. And and basically the setup is William Peterson is a Secret Service agent, but it's that part of the Secret Service where they do the counterfeiting stuff, because that's part of the Secret Service, is they investigate counterfeiting. And Willem Dafoe is a counterfeiter. He's able to do really, really good, $20 bills and put them into circulation with drug dealers and stuff. And, but ends up killing one of Peterson's agent friends when he's trying to do this raid by himself when he's not supposed to, and he gets killed. And William Peterson literally gets obsessed with taking down Willem Dafoe by any means necessary. And so he goes off the rails. He's doing all these crazy schemes to get him. And then there's a chase in this movie, Jordan, a car chase that is another just practical insane chase where he's just going through all these under these highways and through these markets, and then eventually he ends up on a 6-lane highway driving the wrong way against 6 lanes of traffic. It's nuts.
That's cool.
It's crazy. And then it's got some very shocking stuff. But yeah, I loved To Live and Die in LA. Great 80s score, really good stuff. So I think you would actually dig this one. That would be the next one I would recommend of his for sure.
Yeah. For sure, I'll have to put it on my watch list. I got an ongoing list of all my blind spots that I got to get to and kind of rank them in order.
Hopefully some service puts it out at least for rental, because as of right now you can't really stream it. But now hopefully with this 4K release, maybe it'll at least go on Vudu or Prime or something. And we can watch
that'd be
it.
nice.
Because I definitely buy it for you on Vudu so you can watch it, because I think you'd really dig it. It's really, really good. So
I've seen just a couple of his other ones. Like I've seen the Twilight Zone movie. He directs a segment of that. I've seen like Tales from the Crypt. I've seen the 12 Angry Men remake, which is good, but to me not as good as the original.
But it's got a good cast though. It's got a really good cast to it though. Yeah,
it does.
Really solid. William Peterson from To Live and Die in LA is in that remake. He's in
nice.
One of the 12.
That's cool. And then also I've seen Killer Joe too. So
I really like Killer Joe. That was the last one of his I saw in the theater. The Matthew McConaughey movie, and that movie was very dark, and I really, really like that movie. I think Matthew McConaughey is amazing in that movie. I dig that one. And then I'm gonna rewatch. It's been a while, but I have it on my Blu-ray player. Bug, the kind of horror movie he did with Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon. I'm gonna rewatch that probably tonight.
Oh yeah.
Bed. I want to watch that one again.
I went on a bit of a Matthew McConaughey kind of blind spot watch recently. So I watched the Dallas Buyers Club for the first time. I'm like, oh yeah, Killer Joe. That's William Friedkin. Yeah, I'll check that one out too. So watch a couple of them. Yeah.
So,
it's good.
But but a really solid filmmaker, man. Rest in peace. He was 87. He just died.
Yeah.
Of old natural causes. He lived a long life, and he left us a pretty interesting filmography. I'm going to revisit a few of his other ones or see for the first time. I've never seen Jade, the movie that they reference in 40-year-old Virgin, where he's like, be David Caruso in Jade, and where he's asking questions to Elizabeth Banks. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to read? What do you like? I want to revisit that. It's on Paramount Plus on Showtime, so I'm gonna watch that. He's got a few little blind spots I want to get to. He's got a movie called Rampage I want to watch, and The Guardian. I know you like. You mentioned Blue Chips, so you forget he directed Blue Chips, the basketball.
He directed Blue Chips. Yeah, I remember that. For some reason, when I heard they passed away, that was the first movie that came to my mind. But then when I was prepping for this, I kind of forgot about it. But Blue Chips is a great movie. I'm a big basketball fan, so I'm a big fan of like Shaquille O'Neal, and then that Penny Hardaway in there, and then Nick Nolte as the coach is just brutal in that, just like brutal, just like throwing chairs and like telling all his players to fuck off and like just getting in their face, all that stuff. So yeah, but it's good though.
And that one you mentioned that he completed before he died, the Kane Mutiny Court Martial. I don't know if it'll still be titled that eventually, but there's been a bunch of adaptations of the Kane Mutiny, which is there's some older movie adaptations of that. I think my parents even had one of those on TCM when I was over at their house one time. About these sailors that mutiny on their captain, and there's like a legal trial basically afterwards, like a court martial thing. And it's even been a stage play, so I guess he did a new adaptation of that. But it's got one of your favorite people in it, Jordan. We'll see. But anyways, I'm looking at the cast. So the cast has Kiefer Sutherland is at the top. Your boy Jason Clarke.
That's what I figured.
But it also lists Lance Reddick, so it might be another Lance Reddick movie film before he passed away. So
that's awesome.
You really see it for Lance Reddick. Jay Duplass. Got a couple people in here.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know what type of movie. If it was supposed to be just like it was just gonna be a streaming movie or whatever. It says it's premiering at the Venice Film Festival in September. So I don't know if they're still gonna be able to do that or what it is. But apparently it's done. So we will get another William Friedkin, some kind of movie again. I don't know what it is. We haven't seen a trailer for it or anything. But some kind of adaptation of the Kane Mutiny story. So we'll see. But we at least have a movie in the can from him. So that's exciting to at least get another movie that he was done with. So that's cool. Good to see something.
And I've started to be okay with Jason Clarke in like side roles or like small doses. Just don't put him as a leading guy, because I don't really think he's a leading man.
It looks like he's one of the guys on the ship, like the lieutenant or something. So he's part of the ensemble, but maybe he's not. I don't think he's the lead. I think he's we'll see. But I liked him in Oppenheimer. I thought he was perfect for his role of being like questioning everybody. Like I thought he was good in that. So
he's just doing that part, so that's fine. So but but yeah, I think that'll do it for us, though. Yeah, that was fun getting to jump back in and revisit Sorcerer, and yeah, we'll probably we'll have movies a week from this Wednesday, so this will kind of count. There's we don't do it every week, but it just depends how I'm feeling. Usually every other week for sure, and then sometimes I'll just feel like throwing an extra one, like we did with Pee Wee Herman, because we wanted to do a little tribute to Paul Rubens when he passed away. So that's on our channel also. I still haven't uploaded the full episode. I had to download it, and it just took a minute. So I have the downloaded episode, but if you go on our Patreon on patreon.com/movie hero, you can see the full episode, which just has a little cool extra clip with like Paul Rubens and The Rock, just kind of having some fun in a little WWE clip. But WWE is like really anal about their clips or using any of their content, so they blocked it. So it's not there on YouTube, but it'll be there on our Patreon.
So well, you could still this week maybe look for Jordon to do one of his little shorts where he'll spin the wheel again, and see what movie we're gonna do for that.
Yeah,
episode.
We'll at least have a short. Yeah, that'll be coming around Wednesday or so. I totally spaced doing it this week, so sorry, my apologies. But I've been a little sick, so I haven't been doing as much on the channel for this week. Just been trying to rest and get back to feeling normal, which I am. I'm not kind of on the mend here, so yeah. Right.
Nice.
But yeah, this is fun. So that's gonna do it. So we'll. If you have any thing you want to plug, tell us where we can find you, Austin.
Mostly here on the Movie Hero Network, obviously. Tomorrow night, right before we do tournament fights, starting the ladder series for 2009, we'll be doing a little ASAT real quick for our buddy Richie Goodacre for his belated birthday. He asked me to write him a movie release date trivia, so we'll be doing that about an hour before tournament fights tomorrow. So we'll do that real quick before tournament fights. I think Jordan's just going to guess his way through that along with so that'll be fun. Just for
try
fun.
My best.
We're just goofing around, having a little fun, see what you guys can get. And me and you are in the Team ASAT tournament on Tuesday night. We'll be finishing that off. So good luck to us. Yeah. We'll try.
Yeah.
Do what
we can. The finals. So yeah, we'll see.
Finals. Hey, we made it all the way. We did pretty good. So we're hanging in there. Lonely Marks on Thursday night, as always, if you want to talk some wrestling with us. And then we'll be doing another podcast about movies. Me and Jacobs, we had to delay the last one because he was sick. So something's going around on the internet. Like you guys got it through your screens or something.
Yeah, there's something going on. Yeah.
So, but we'll be jumping into the 80s, some movies that are celebrating 40th and 35th anniversaries of Risky Business, Return of the Jedi, Mississippi Burning, and My Neighbor Totoro will be on the slate for that show.
I've seen all those, but except Mississippi Burning. So yeah,
Mississippi Burning is great. That's a great Gene Hackman, Willem Dafoe movie. Another Willem Dafoe movie. Yeah, really, really good stuff, and a lot of good character actors in there too. So really good one.
That's nice. Usually I end up getting sick whenever I'm around kids. Like I remember my nieces and nephews recently. It was my nephew's birthday, so I probably ended up getting sick from that. But that's fine.
And Jacob Barber gets sick a lot too because he works for kids at like daycare centers and stuff.
Yeah,
and then my ex was a teacher and she taught like second and third graders. So yeah, those kids are just germ factories, carrying everything around. So yeah, they get everybody sick and when they're around.
I was due to get sick because like ever since COVID. Like everyone's washing their hands more, and like people are like keeping things clean. So I haven't really been like sick for like literally almost 2 years. It's been a long time. So I was about due for it. So it's fine. It's nothing serious. But let's see. What do we have going on this week? I know that I'll be doing Rankum today with Malcolm. So I'll be doing that later today at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about the best movie teachers, so they don't include teachers and mentors. Won't include any coaches. That was the one stipulation that he had, but teachers and coaches. So I already got my list ready to go. So I kind of know who I want to pick. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know. And Jacob Barber will be on there with you. So
yeah.
We're doing that show. So let's check it out.
Yeah, Jacob will be there. Friend of the show, Dan Skip Allen, he'll be on there. So we got a couple friendly faces. Chadwick Webb, he'll be on there. So
that'll be a good panel. You guys will talk about some teachers. That'll work.
Yeah. And then let's see. You can follow us on all the socials at Movie Hero 2121 on Twitter and Instagram, or my personal social media, Jordon836116. We post a lot of content there, and then also in the Schwan on Friends and Family group, we are posting all the time over on Facebook. And then we do have the spots are already full. They filled up really, really fast, but we're doing a big free for all, so you can definitely tune into that though. It's gonna take me a little time to put it all together, but it's gonna be a free for all for the Seen and Heard movie trivia. So it's gonna be like a big thing with about 20-25 people, and it's gonna happen on September 10th. That'll be a Sunday at let's see, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So you can tune into that. So we won't have any trivia until then, because I'll be prepping for that. But that'll be a lot of fun though. And the winner of that will get to face Austin and our former champions, Moose Hawes and Ryan Permerson, and then in a match afterwards for an even bigger chance at a title shot. There may be a surprise person we may pull out for someone who does really well in our tournament, maybe like an MVP or something. So just watch for that too. So yeah, but and then just what we have going on this week. We'll be doing our best movies of 2009 this week. So it'll be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll be doing 3 tournaments. We'll be talking the best movies of 2009 ladder series. So the ladder just means it would be whatever the top 8 movies from the previous tournament will move on to face the movies of 2009. So that's coming up, and yeah, we'll leave it at that for now. So that's where you can find us this week. So yeah, and then we'll be back at it with another Wheel of Movies a week from this Wednesday. But again, watch for the little YouTube short where I'm going to spin the wheel. I'll try to put that out Wednesday. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, definitely hit that. It really helps us out. Share the video. All of that really helps us out because we're on a big push to get monetized. We still need about 700 and something subscribers, but we're getting there slowly but surely. So yeah. But yeah, that'll do it. So if you got that outro,
No. Thanks for joining me, Jordan, for talking about. I know because I kind of, not that I strong armed you, but I was like, hey man, can we do Sorcerer? It's on my 128 from William Friedkin.
Yeah.
And we call some of these audibles, but again, we're not really cheating. They're on the wheel. They will come up. Like they're some of our favorite movies, and we'll get back to the wheel spins. I promise. If seeing what brand movie pops up for next time. But yeah, we want to pay tribute to these actors and directors and whatnot. That shape cinema. So. We want to pay tribute to these guys, and if this is the way we can do it, we want to do that. So we want to show.
Yeah, and hopefully, nobody else passes away, so we don't have to pull any audibles.
Yeah,
we don't want anyone to die. We want people to live.
I know we want people to live. I don't want to have to do tribute episodes to people. I want people to live long lives and not have to mourn people that pass away. So right. But anyways, we'll be back with Wheel of Movies here, like Jordan said, in about a week or so. We'll spin the wheel. But until next time, we'll see. That's Jordan over there, and I'm Austin. I'll be Sorcerer Howell tonight instead of Pez Howell tonight, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.